Material about nuclear weapons is especially sensitive and usually restricted to a small number of government officials. How exactly is it possible that they were even allowed to be handled so recklessly? And what could Trump have been doing with these documents? Like, who stands to gain? What would he be doing taking these documents out of the White House?
It's incredible. I mean, these are our nation's most precious secrets. And the fact that he took them to his private residence, out of the White House, out of control, in an unsecured environment, protected apparently by a padlock, it's just extraordinary. I was the classifying authority for Department of Defense nuclear weapons information. And the release of this information, this top secret compartmented information, by definition, would cause exceptionally grave harm to national security.
Indeed, it would. And I'm just curious from you, Andy, who on the world stage would have the most to gain from this information? I mean, you think about Donald Trump's relationships with the Saudis, his relationship with the Russians, and the fact that he really appears to have no allegiance to America. He has allegiance to his sycophants, but certainly not to this democracy. If someone were to ask you, like, who stands the most to gain from this information, give me a guess of who might that be.
Well, we don't know what information was in these documents, but my best guess would be President Putin would stand the most to gain to having access to our most classified nuclear weapons information.
Which is a frightening thought, Glenn. So given that this could really be a situation where you're a traitor, he's actually a traitor to America, what might the punishment, if it is confirmed that he was trafficking our information around nuclear weapons, which is a huge deal, what might the punishment for something like that be? How would the DOJ go about prosecuting something like that?
Well, the punishment under the statute that is cited in the search warrant materials it's a 10-year federal felony, a violation of 793, which is gathering, transmitting, or losing national security or national defense information. But, you know, the punishment, the prison time, is almost irrelevant. And it's because we prosecute cases for the deterrent value, because, yes, we prosecute cases to hold the wrongdoer accountable, to punish the wrongdoer. We prosecute cases to protect the public, but we also prosecute cases to deter others from engaging in the same or similar criminal conduct. So if Donald Trump violated a section of the Treason Act, which 793 is, and he goes unprosecuted, regardless of what sentence he might suffer, that is sending a signal that others are free to engage in similar conduct. I mean, I hate to sound hyperbolic, but if, you know, we prosecute violations of the Espionage Act, we deter espionage. If we fail to prosecute violations of the Espionage Act, we encourage espionage. And that is not an America any of us can afford to live in.
That's such an important point that you have to send a message. You know, Andy, I am old enough to remember when Donald Trump gave away sensitive information to the Russians in the Oval Office, when he had Lavrov and Kislyak in there, the ambassador and the foreign minister in the Oval Office, and he gave away such sensitive information. There had to be a huge cleanup. Our intel community went into action. It was information relayed to us from a partner who had not given the U.S. permission to share that information with the Russians. So when you have this level of fallout, the consequences of that certainly cast a dark shadow across the globe. I'm just curious from you, since we've had this president, the former president in office, what impact has that had with our intel and our partners on the foreign stage when it comes to cooperating with some of our allies?
Well, it hurts us deeply in our liaison relationships with other intelligence services. They would be reluctant to share their valuable secrets with a country whose leader they can't trust to keep them. That particular instance in the office caused a great short-term rupture in our intelligence relationship with Israel. So that's just one example. You know, this is horrifying to me to think about the types of information that could have been in those documents.
and put lives at danger. I mean, that's certainly, according to intel, that's certainly what happened the last time he shared secrets. And that was something that was publicized. You really don't know what this guy was doing when the cameras were not rolling. And we certainly, many people didn't know that he was taking classified documents from White House grounds, which, of course, is not okay. Glenn, I want you to take a listen to Laura Ingraham. She had an exchange about this very issue earlier this week. Take a listen.
Is it your understanding that there were not documents related to our nuclear capabilities or nuclear issues that had national security implications in the president's possession when the agents showed up at Mar-a-Lago?
That's correct. I don't believe they were. And if they thought
well,
they were...
do you know for a fact? Do you know for a fact they were? Have you spoken to the president about it?
I have not specifically spoken to the president about what nuclear materials may or may not have been in there. I do not believe there were any in there.
I mean, she has no idea. But I think my bigger question is, Glenn, we have seen the Republican Party, and we have to stop separating the Republican Party from extremists. It is one and the same at this point. We have seen the Republican Party rally around this president, even in the wake of all this damning evidence, and their blind loyalty has blinded them to logic and facts. Why do you think he has such a stronghold on this community, and what might it take for Republicans who are in elected office to rebuff this president?
You have to wonder if anything will persuade the Republicans to walk away from Donald Trump. I forever ask myself the question, Tiffany, why are there only two Republicans, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who care more about the country than care about their own job, their own reelection prospects? I don't have an answer to that question. I do like the fact that the Republicans are now calling for the release of the affidavit, which won't be released because it would compromise the investigation. But at some point it might be. And the affidavit is the document in which there's all the good stuff, the evidence that shows the probable cause as to why they had to go down and seize these documents from Donald Trump, because he would not voluntarily return them, and he wouldn't even return them after a subpoena had been served, which exposes him to 20 years in prison for obstruction. But I have no idea when and if the Republicans will ever walk away from Donald Trump, regardless of how dramatic the revelations are about Trump's crimes.